every single day. Every single day. Woo, woo. How the heck did Europe get those cool sirens? How did we develop different sounding sirens? I'm not exactly sure what the specifications were needed, you know. Uh, if Europe had tiny village sirens and we had loud amber waves of grain sirens, I'm not sure how it came to be, and I'm sure there's like a YouTube video on it. This is one of the reasons I'm very, very thankful for the World Wide Web, because there's stuff I just wonder throughout the day. I'm like, how are American sirens like that? But in Europe, the sirens do the like how do they get those? And we got these, you know? Because when I was growing up, that wasn't, I don't even think they made books about that. Like there was no book. You had to like know somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody who understood why it was. It's just like, the way people type laughter, like LOL or ha ha ha, across the world is different. And I really, that's one of the things. Call me a universalist, but I think laughter should be designated, a certain thing, because I can't tell, And then if we want to go into sarcastic laughter instead of ha ha ha, it's j j j j j or whatever. But there's so many pressing issues in the world today. Where do we begin? But one of the biggest is the sensitivity of racists. My God, folks. These racists are the people who loudliest proclaim to be tough men. Like, did you hear Pete Hegseth gets Botox, aka gender affirming care? Which it is. Listen, if you're getting Botox, if you're getting hair implants or transplants or, I don't know, spray painting hair on your head, if you're doing that, that's gender affirming. You feel like men need to affirm that they are, not bald. Which I would argue, out of the two sexes that, do the gender affirming thing the hardest, I would say the men are supposed to be bald, He's a man's man. He worked so hard, all his hair fell out. But yeah, Pete Hegseth, the guy who lectured all his superiors in rank about doing pull-ups or whatever. I think he was like, you got to do 30 sit-ups in 30 seconds. I didn't really pay attention like everybody else. But he was like, this, our Pete Hegseth was like, our American military is no longer about the test of character and the strength. Like, that's no longer the motto. That's no longer our what's it called? Our message. All these places put out like our mission statement. That's no longer our mission statement. Our new mission statement is smoothly shorn, very shaven men who just look the part. If you look the part, you could probably be the general. I think that was Pete Hegseth's message. Like, as long as there's no fat chicks, no fatties, you could be in the military now. It's really something. Really something. But all these men who proclaim stuff like that, like so obsessed with looks, so obsessed with, I don't know, things fitting into their perception of what it should be. Like anything new totally trips them out. Those people are usually the most sensitive. That's why, Hegseth is like, he probably can't grow a beard. Like, if you really want to, like, think about it, it's like, he was probably teased about, look at Pete, his beard grows in funny. He's got a weird beard. And he was like, and that echoes in Pete Hegseth's mind. He's like, they called me a weird beard. I'll show them. I'll show Machine Gun Kelly. They said Weird Beard Pete. That was my nickname in college, man. The frat always teased me about my weird beard at Beard Week. What's going to happen for Movember? My God, That's why Pete's always shorn. That's why Pete Hegseth is getting the Botox. He gets Botox, which I don't know. I don't care. Really, I don't care. But if you were to ask me, like having a beard or getting Botox, what is more manly? I would say having a beard. If you're going to force me to choose, I don't give a shit. I ain't going to judge you. I will think you look like a plastic saran wrap, doll head. Uh, but it's just weird to me, like that the Elon Musks, the Donnie Trumps, Epstein's best friend, as you know him, who allegedly has Polaroid photos of him sitting with many girls of an uncertain age who are topless. Can't wait for that hit to drop. The Timmy Poo Poos, the Beanie Boys, who, need men to be defined. It's so weird, the obsession with what guys want men to look like. Like, that's, I think, what I'm getting at, Like, they want men to look a certain way and film themselves getting in an ice bath and slow Rogan. You know what I mean? Like, those dudes, I feel like, are the most fragile, sensitive, because I don't give a shit, I grew up where guys were wearing overalls and it was cool as hell. Tupac. Kurt Cobain went on stage in a dress. It was radical. And nobody was like, we watched Mrs. Doubtfire. No one was like, oh, look at this. This is, this is pervo activity. We were like, that's one of the greatest movies ever. That's how I grew up. Being like, that's not a challenge to my manhood because some other dude's wearing a dress while playing one of the coolest songs ever on stage. It's not a challenge to my manhood. It doesn't threaten me at all. In fact, if anything, I'm like, oh, damn, that kind of look cool. Maybe I could pull it off. I couldn't. I love overalls, but, let's face it. If I'm wearing overalls, I'm probably on a farm somewhere in the middle of nowhere because I understand, not everybody can pull off overalls. Not everybody. It's just not for you, Some people it's amazing for. Tupac looked amazing in overalls, and that was the thing back then. And now we got all these people obsessed with looks. For what reason? Well, a therapist might say, I don't know, I'm not wealthy, I can't afford a therapist. and corporations keep trying to challenge me to, just talk to our AI chatbot. Just do that. You don't need to talk to real people. No, I'm pretty sure I do get an AI out of here. But a therapist might say like, well, what is that saying about you? Edward, good to see you. Never said ever Mrs. Doubtfire was the greatest movie. Mara, maybe you haven't seen Mrs. Doubtfire. Mrs. Doubtfire is a great movie. A great movie. And I feel bad for you if you can't see the talented Robin Williams in that role. I mean, never mind Mrs. Doubtfire. Look at Martin. Remember that in Shanae? Spoiler alert. Martin is Shanae. How many roles did Eddie Murphy play as a woman? The Clumps, Professor Clump, what were those called? The Nutty Professor. Oh my God, I've seen one of those. I've seen the second or third one. I forget how many. I've seen one of those in the theater. Holy crap. And that was never like a threat to national security. If you just step back, like, for some of us older heads, if you just step back and think about the wild shit that is being perpetrated right now, you're like, oh, yeah, Mrs. Doubtfire and the Clumps are totally a threat to national security. And that's where this is headed. This is like the news story today. Where this is headed is essentially like they're like, video games are getting canceled because they want to do a reconstruction post-Civil War era game where this black dude joins the Assassin's Creed. Okay? But in today's culture where, there's new Nazis walking around everywhere, they're emboldened, they're having these Proud Boys, which is not a choir group. It's not an a cappella group. So disappointing. The Proud Boys really missed the mark with being so racist instead of being a glee club. There's still time, but instead of like, it's just so crazy because these people are gobbling it up. Not all of them, but the gobblers are totally gobbling up this rhetoric. You're going to see, if they're trying to get dudes off TV, next thing you know, they're going to have like because they already tried to ban books, right? So what's to stop them if they get their way? Let's just play this out, right? Let's play this Project 2025, Donald Jeffrey Epstein's best friend Trump. Let's play out his wishes and all these people, the gobblers. That's what we're going to call them from now on, the gobblers who gobble it up. They're like, yeah, that scares me too. What if I have thoughts? Let's play out these gobblers, dreams. They ban all the books, they get all the TV shows off. Well, what's next? They got to go for the movies, and then after that, the video games. God forbid, you have a historical video game that shows that the North not only won, but was on the right side of history in the Civil War. The Tim Pool. Edward, I never seen Some Like It Hot. Flip Wilson, Tony Curtis, and Some Like It Hot. Never seen it. Never seen it, but I'll have to check it out. I just, it's hard to find that kind of time. But the gobblers, sorry, the gobblers, the people that love everything Donald Trump says, will not critique him, even though he's in the Epstein files, broadly, or girly. And the most telling thing was that if you saw Pam Bondi and Cash App Patel testifying in front of Congress, where it was simple yes or no answers, and anybody who's not in the files, you would just go, no, of course not, no. Like, that's absurd and kind of rude for you to assume that about me. But we had heard these long diatribes about how dare you, da-da-da. And it's like, well, start with no, Pam Blondie. You start with no, of course not, and then how dare you. But she doesn't want to be caught lying under oath. But I mean, that will be the least of her charges once we get some adults in the room. These people. Good morning, Cara Soto. Good to see you. Caro Sota. Sorry, my brain scrambled all those things. My apologies. And if I ever mispronounce someone's name, it's not on purpose. Well, actually, no. There are some motherfuckers in that chat. The trolls. If I mispronounce your name, no, I did it on purpose. Because you're sensitive little gobblers that gobble up everything Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein's best friend says. But let's think this out, right? They get it to where they get to cancel anybody on TV they don't like. They cancel all the books they don't like. They cancel the music. You can't listen to Woody Guthrie anymore. Then they cancel the movies. Mrs. Doubtfire is on the national security threat list. And then they come for the video games. And that's what's happening right now, but they're preemptively doing it. Ubisoft has canceled their Civil War era game, which sounds awesome. I'm not a big player of this series, but I would absolutely play this one. The now canceled Creed game that would have starred a formerly enslaved black man as he attempts to start a new life. Somehow he get roped into joining them and take on the KKK, which sounds awesome, right? Sounds awesome. But there's like a little section of gobblers in this country. If you don't know what a gobbler is, I just made that up. Those are the people that gobble up everything Stephen Miller, that Pauly Shore sounding Santa Monica fascist says. They gobble up everything Donald Trump says. They gobble up Just Dance Vance. They gobble up Tim Pool. They gobble everything, and they don't question it. They just gobble, 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 gobble. They're like, baby birds being fed. And this game sounds fucking amazing. I linked the article down below. But this article goes into everything that's going on. These criminals that are raiding our streets and kidnapping civilians, the military, the fact that Tim Pool continually calls for a civil war. It's like, fucking bro. It's unreal, Tim Pool sitting in Butt, Kentucky or wherever he is, Midwest Virginia. I don't know, most sensitive, fragile weirdo ever. But this game sounds amazing. And then you read, a progressive take. I don't even call this a progressive take. This is, just like really historically close to what happened. Black man having to take on the KKK. You can read books about this. Read Robert F. Williams. What's it called? Negroes with Guns. Amazing book about one of the men who in North or South Carolina, he eventually had to flee to Cuba, because even in his town in the Carolinas, the KKK was the police, you know? So he had to become his own little army to protect his community. So, I mean, this is not like far off, but it's so amazing that in the year of our Lord 2025, so many people are unaware of our history, unaware of how amazing Americans, Black Americans, stood up to make that Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, make that become more honest and become something that lent itself to, we the people, that those promises, or whatever you want to consider them, that there were amazing people throughout history who displayed courage like no other. Like, that's why I always talk about Harriet Tubman. She's one of the most radical women in history. The fact that she went back and saved over 100 people after saving herself, was wanted, and then helped the Union Army, and that, she lived an incredible life. Put her on the 20 today. Put her on the 20. But these sensitive men that somehow take somebody else's courage as it's shining light on their insecurity is just unreal. And those are the people running things. So, again, if you didn't see, Polygon's reporting that the Ubisoft Assassin's Creed game is canceled. And this is just what they want, I would, encourage them to keep making this game, because being obedient in advance is what they want. They want you to be scared to create art. They want you to be scared. So gamers, especially, what are those, Ass Man Gold, the dude that don't drink water. I wouldn't really listen to anybody who can't endure the taste of water. But, like, isn't he a gamer? And I know he's a big Trumper and racist. That's what I've heard on the interweb. But, you'd figure gamers would be like, all right, enough's enough. They were preying on my insecurities. But at this point, now they're going to ruin video games for me. Unless, you're like, oh, well, I can't deal with any kind of thing that is outside of my mind bubble. What do you mean implying insecurity? That's what it is. It's not implying. It's like, guys, people who aren't insecure, just so you know, like, being secure means you don't feel threatened by the exterior world. If a guy wears a dress and you're like, okay, fine, might not be my taste, but we live in the land of the free, so okay. Someone insecure, like, I don't really watch too much, but I'm assuming, like, Tim Pool, would be up in arms if, it was something out of what he considers normal. But then again, it's ironic to hear him say, stuff like the land of the free, because in the land of the free, if you're secure enough, you're not threatened by people's choices, who somebody marries, what somebody wears, like, really, that's what insecurity is. And it just is very showing that you don't even understand that. You don't understand that the most confident people aren't the ones like Slow Rogan being like, what is going on? This is madness. I'm so challenged by everything different that I don't like. Like, the people who can voice their opinion that are like, listen, that ain't for me. But okay, land of the free. Go ahead. And just like, but what these fascists do is they do things like this, RFK and Tylenol on the proof. He says, well, it's not proof yet. We're doing the studies to make the proof. So that's what they do. They have these fallacy arguments. Or they clip. Isn't that what the kids call it when you clip something on YouTube? They clip something from, like, a book. They'll excerpt a sentence that in the greater context doesn't prove their point. Or like Tim Pool. I know Tim Pool is famous for not reading the articles, which, God, guys, if you're doing a podcast or live stream or a radio show, like I worked in radio for 20 years, read the fucking article first, do a little history, find out how, like, y'all give you some insight. ask yourself, how can I make this bigger? You read the article, is there someone we could talk to on it? What can we elaborate? How does this article divide the audience? You know, who's going to take what side on this if you have a show? Like, these are the things you would do in preparing for a show. And it's hilarious at times. It's very much like Aaron Brown says. It's like watching a little child do a YouTube show, because he just reads the headline and thinks, oh, yep, okay, we got to go on this. And then he'll read and disprove himself as he continues in the story. And you'd figure after a while you'd understand that headlines are the clickbait. They got to say something shocking to draw you in. But there's a whole clickbait section of America right now where they just want the headline, and that's the stories to them. They are fascist, man. They are fascist. I'm tired of these people not understanding fascism. And here, this is from, I believe, the Holocaust Museum. You can find it on Reddit. But, you know, this is fascism. Guys, seriously, it concerns me how uneducated I think some of these men are. And that's the other part, the anti-intellectualism, you know? And you see it with Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein's best friend. You see him with him talking about colleges are woke, and Charlie Kirk, his left-handed man, or alt-right-handed man, how he was like, don't go to college, you know? Anti-intellectualism, they wanted to make it cool, so you stayed stupid and you just believe what they said. You trusted the guy who dropped out of community college and that he had it best for you, you know? And it's just unreal. Man, you should really, like, you should want to be educated on things. And that way you don't fall in line to some false leader, some false prophet, some, you know, orange god claiming to know everything and always be right. He sells a hat that says Trump was right about everything, and he wears that hat. That should be very concerning to you, you know, because nobody in the history of, you know, the universe has been right about everything. Deanna Parker, fact, you can get a free education by going to the public library. Deanna, you ever see Good Will Hunting? That's one of my favorite lines, where he's like, he says something like, you know, and the hard part is you spent $150 on a education that you could have got for $1.25 in overcharges at the library. $1.25 in late fees at the library. Great movie. Marcy, see, the funny thing, I get people that go, why don't you move to China, Russia, Venezuela? Marcy, what I need you to understand is you want a chicken supreme leader. The people, there's only a little left that still are maggots, M-A-G-A-T-S, the gobblers. And if they're not bots online, I want you to understand that the small segment of America that still supports this fascist regime, you guys would be happier in North Korea, Russia, or China. Well, anybody would be happier in China. They are investing in their people. They have, you know, light-speed rail. You know, nobody's homeless there. There isn't food insecurities like in America. But I'm talking about the dictatorial part of it. Like, you guys, like Putin. Ask anybody in Russia if Putin's ever been wrong. You know, and they'll go, well, where are we talking? Because if this is in public, we have to say, no, he's always right. Great leader. So that's the hilarious part of you telling people to get out of America, because you just want to make America another dictator state. That's it. And we're saying no, and we're not going anywhere. And we've done this before, and I'm going to keep speaking up. So whether you're a bot or just some jagoff, some gobbler who's like, why don't you move? It's like, no. If you love this kind of fascism, go to North Korea. Take a one-way trip. Go to North Korea. They will dictate what you can see on TV. They will dictate what you can hear on the radio. They will dictate everything for you. And you will be happy, because there are some people in this life that cannot think for themselves. They need to be obedient. So they just go, finally, some guy who's presenting as an alpha male, even though he's much, much not. Like, I don't know how to explain, like, if you think Donald Trump is the epitome of a man, you were brought up wrong. And they're just waiting for him to give the next order, you know? That's why you see these people fall in line. And not the ones at the top, mind you. You know, they're paid to be this heinous. And also, I want to finish my comment about, you know, how they're trying to teach men that to be an intellectual is woke or stupid, or, you know, Charlie Kirk went on this whole tour about don't go to college while he was at colleges. And we get it. He dropped out, but he was a moron, you know, a racist moron. And here's the thing, man. Go look up everybody that works for Donald Trump, like the Rubios, the Just Dance Vances, the Pam Blondies. Go look up where they went to college. You might find some woke universities, because they understand, like, you gotta be fucking smart, you know? Like, they ain't hiring no community college graduates in the White House. I mean, Stephen Miller is probably one. Well, he wasn't elected to anything, but who's here? Alma's here. Good to see Alma. I see you by shutting these idiots up. Thank you. Mama Jamba. Critically thinking is woke. Yep. Exactly. I hate these troll bots. These troll bots are just exhausting. And some people, their brains are broken. You know. Some people, they can't say anything besides Trump, Vance, Trump, Vance. Fascism came wrapped in a flag holding a Bible. Well, let's be honest about that. Fascism came groping a flag, trying to kiss it. You know, remember when Donald Trump did that? And it was like, holy crap, he's assaulting he's essaying a flag. My God, don't allow this dude near your daughters. But the reason I was doing this, I'm going to try to go live later. Oh, by the way, you see this? 2 immigrant women married to men who claim to hate immigrants. These people should not be taken seriously. And it was good, if you're on TikTok, to see somebody else talking about, if kept up with greedflation, the minimum wage should be $66 an hour. And that's just facts, folks. Don't cry about it here. But Ubisoft canceling this game, unfortunately. Sorry, but, you know, when people in the White House are super sensitive to everything, you know, everything is a challenge and threatened to them because they've done nothing with their life besides failing businesses, and, you know, anybody who can present a decent argument or has some kind of intellect and can read beyond a 6th grade level is a threat to them. You're going to get this. That's why they were going after Jimmy Kimmel. That's why they want your books, and now they're your video games. So I implore you to wake up. Wake up, you know. When the guy you clap for is saying smart people don't like me, and you're the one clapping for him, guess what? You ain't a smart person. And that's not my words. That's the dude you're clapping for. The dude you clap for said, smart people don't like me. And people went, yay! Huh? And it was just a good thing you weren't smart, because you didn't get it. You needed me to come in here and break it down for you. When he says smart people don't like me and everybody fucking applauds, guess what? You ain't a smart person. That's what he's saying. He's saying, basically, I'll dumb it down to layman language. I'll dumb it down to a 4th grade reading level. What he's saying is, stupid people clap. When Donald Trump says smart people don't like me, what he's saying is dumb people clap for me. So when you were clapping for him, just understand he called you stupid to your face. To your face. And it's kind of hilarious. There's a lot of us going, this is sad-larious. I had to create a word for this time. Still trying to lobby Merriam-Webster's dictionary to add it. But I had to create a word. It's called the sad-larious, because it's sad. You know, it's sad that there are this many people who will clap at their own demise, who will clap at their own rights being taken away, who will clap at them being oppressed, abused, exploited, and grifted. You know, they will allow this scam artist to scam them again and again and again, no matter how many times he says to their face, you know, only dumb people like me. But he says it in a very clever way. Smart people don't like me. It's so clever. I mean, really, it was like a Wordle. Is that what people did? I don't know. It was like, you know, a New York Times crossword puzzle when he said, smart people don't like me. Donald Trump said, smart people don't like me. And there was a contingent of people that clapped. And I was like, Oh, damn. He got him. It's like in Wayne's World. We used to have this thing in the 90s. The 90s trained us for this because Wayne's World, Mike Myers, brilliant comedian, great actor. Mike Myers did this bit where he had a guest on his Wayne's World show, and he said, "A sphincter says what?" And the guy goes, "What?" And Wayne and Garth, spoiler alert, it's Mike Myers. Wayne and Garth, laugh about it. So we were prepared. Us 90s kids saw that coming a mile away. Some of you boomers and some of you young dumbs, the gobblers, as I call them now, the gobblers, the people that gobble up anything Jeffrey Epstein's best friend says, and they never critique it, and they never question it. They just take it as Bible truth because he once held the Bible upside down. We were prepared for it. You guys weren't. So when Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, said, "Smart people don't like me," and you guys cheered, yeah! You didn't realize what he was saying is, stupid people cheer for me. It's sad. It's very sad. Stephen Ryan, fun fact, boot polish contains neurotoxins that can cause dame bramage. Smart people know better. Yeah, exactly. Oh no, are we losing the MAGA bots? Oh no, but they account for engagement. But I just love pointing this out, I love pointing this out. Oh, Thomas says 1,201 more days. Well, listen, Thomas, maybe you're new here. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Outside of pointing out to MAGA that Donald Trump called you stupid, but he tricked you. He said it in a very clever, sophisticated way. He said, "Smart people don't like me." And your brain couldn't catch on. So I love breaking that to you. But the other thing, Tom, is what we do around here is we call it the long watch. It's like when John Snowball, or whatever his name was, went up to the Winter Wall for the Winter Walkers. I forget. I didn't really pay attention. But when Jon Snow in that Lord of Thrones thing with dragons, the dragon game, when he went up to the White Wall to watch the snowflakes out the zombie guys, he went on the long watch, I think, or that's what I just call it. And that's what we're on. We're on the long watch. We're waiting for him to shuffle loose this mortal coil, because again, smart people don't like him. So dumb people that do like him, according to Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, dumb people like him. That's what he said. He said smart people don't. So who's left? Dumb people. Dumb people like him. And the funny thing about them is they said, Joe Biden's old. I'm going to vote for the guy his age. Yeah, this is real life. Oh. Not bots, just people not interested in Yeah, this is totally not interesting. Ubisoft, one of the largest AAA game makers, is like, yeah, America has too many racist people that would be so sensitive and freak out, and the government is freaking out if anybody's like anti-racism. So we're gonna cancel our Assassin's Creed game. Yeah, it's totally. This is just another day, man. But again, with the cancel culture crowd, they're only allowed to use that when it affects someone they love, like Bobby Ritchie or Roseanne Barr. Mr. T. I love when people try to excuse actual thinking with TDS. Well, that's how they get away with, continuing to be dumb people. Because here's public service announcement, folks. You're all gifted with a brain. And you can use it, you can exercise it, just like, Pete Kegseth, the guy who keeps doing Botox in his face to gender-affirming care himself. You know how he was like, we got to do push-ups to look the part. You got to no beardos to look the part. Well, there's this whole other facet of working out. You can read, you can write, you can be creative, you can think about things that challenge your mind. That's why people do like crossword puzzles, anything that's going to challenge you, make you think a little bit, play some chess. You can do all these things, and it's like a workout for your mind. This is why we should keep funding PBS, because some of these people don't understand. They're like, I go to work, I come home, I listen to President, and then I go to sleep. Uh, so you could do these things. It's called thinking. We used to like cherish it in America. You used to think outside the box. You used to try to create new things, create new ways. We used to be an experiment in democracy to see how far we could push the envelope. There was nothing in the world before like it, and we took from all different pieces around the world to create something new. And now people were like, no, do nothing new. I heard Mussolini's podcast. Let's do what he did. Morons. You guys are morons. Use your brain. That's what I'm trying to challenge you to do. And when your response is TDS, which, by the way, the guy who created that is locked up for really heinous crimes. Go look it up. Most of these MAGAs, their accusations are usually admissions. But my God, to excuse something as that is really just what it does for me is it informs me that you don't want to spend the brain power thinking about it. File him L. I hope I pronounced that right, and my apologies if I didn't. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Mr. Roger will be so disappointed. I love Mr. Rogers. I've talked about him before. Last week I was talking about him before. Because not only did he teach compassion and to think about things and question things, all in a very simplistic way, but he also challenged racism, talked about, when JFK happened, and he did all these things on a level that even as kids, we could kind of grasp it, or we could begin to grasp greater concepts. Such a radical man. And it's infuriating. It's infuriating to think that they're defunding what we could see the next Mr. Rogers and the next human like that. The world needs him right now. Yep. Children at home watching PBS need him. You're either a F or a bot or need a therapist. Yeah, listen, but what are we, rich? I know that Trump supporters aren't rich. I see a lot of clips of them complaining like, we need help. We need the socialism we hated before we needed it. But like I say, we ain't wealthy. What are we gonna do? Afford a therapist? Come on, man. Why do you think they're taking your health care? So you can't. So your anger is never siphoned through the correct funnels. It's never, handled in a way where you can come to some kind of understanding about yourself and yourself in society. Hold on, I missed something. All Crush is here. Thank you for the super chat. 999. You're the greatest, Crush. Appreciate you. Yep. Hit that subscribe, hit the notification bell, and then hit the like button. I never talk about the like button. I know it's like an algorithmic thing, but you're either a like button person or you're not. That's what I've decided. These are my feelings. I know people don't like to talk about their feelings anymore, or they disguise it as a fact. RFK, Joe Rogan, Donald Trump, Epstein's best friend, Tim Pool, Jesse Waters, Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro. He really likes to do the hypothetical, let's say, and present his feelings as facts based on clipping different readings. But I will just tell you, my feelings are you're either a like person or a not like person. I get it. I am a like person. So when I go to videos of channels that I already subscribe to, I love their content, I hit that like before I even watch it. Why? Because I want that boosted. I want to, help them in any way I can, especially in a time like now. And I know there's some people that are waiting for that moment, call to action. I worked in radio. I know all that stuff. But that's why I'm grateful for people like Crush who come in and remind me. They remind me. Crush always reminded me. And God bless her for it, and I love her for it. But to me, that always seems inauthentic. But I could be wrong. Here's the other thing. Here's something that you guys should consider. You could be wrong. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about people just being a thumbs person or a not thumbs up person, that they've decided already before the video, I'm going to like it or not. This is an interesting debate. I wonder what Mr. Beast's take is on it. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care. He's just a grifter. He has no original idea of his own ever. He literally went on interviews and was like, you just find out what the algorithm's doing and try to do it better. And it's like, oh, that's your creativity? Steal a show from Netflix and put it on YouTube? Wow. Wow. Super creative. Cool. Glad you have all that money to not be creative with. We could have had a cool ass fucking world, man. We could have. Mr. Beast is a grift master. I always tell people, go to his channel, go look. His videos consist of this. We had to survive at a place. What would you do for this much money? You had to survive at a place. I healed the world. And there's like one more genre. Like, literally, the guy could have done anything. I'm like, man, he had the money to bring whatever was in his mind, which clearly wasn't much, to life, right? And this dude was like, what's the most popular show on Netflix? You know, what was it? I forget. What did he do? What's that game that he did? I don't even remember. What was the not Hunger Games. Somebody's got to know. What was the Netflix show that he just literally stole it and put it on YouTube? It was like, I don't know. I don't care. But you know what I mean? Like, he just took somebody else's idea. And then Amazon was like, oh, you want to do that on Amazon? He's like, all right, let's do it. Squid Games. Thank you. Thank you, Boston Boy 34, Biz Boy 34, Jerome. I like that. I like that new spelling. Squid Games. Show enough. Oh, Show enough. You know what movie that's from? I have that. Big Kahuna. Big Kahuna. Good to see you again. Yeah, Squid Games. He literally... Floppy Noobs. Floppy Noobs. God, sometimes I love the names. Was canceled for political reasons, that being the people who are making the game are Democrats and historically ones fighting to keep... Floppy Noobs, you know you're a moron. You know you're a moron. You should really look into history. I understand that the Democratic Party used to be basically the very conservative party, but you should understand. You should really understand more of history. I know someone probably told you that, so you just repeat it. But God, I implore you to understand that the abolitionist movement, which my cousin was, you know, a sparker of that Civil War, John Brown. You should understand that at no point, or today, or the modern Republicans, which, you know, the modern Republicans we know more after FDR. That's really when the Republicans became today's Republicans and the Democrats became today's Democrats. You did not see, let me just give you a little hint, you did not see Republicans standing up for civil rights in the 60s. But that's okay. You know, you don't know this stuff. You're a moron. And we got to handle morons with kid gloves. So it's very much okay. You could go back and look at the civil rights era with Martin Luther King and see what Republicans down south were saying. You should really just look at it just for your own knowledge so you don't keep repeating stupid things and people go, oh man, we got a moron. Oh, everybody be careful. There's a moron here. Buddy, don't touch the stove. We know you've heard that before, but you don't know what it means. But yeah, a gobbler. That's what I've dubbed them. Oh, Crush, you missed it. I started calling these people gobblers. Because anything Fox News, Jesse Waters, Tim Pool, Slow Rogan, Ben Shapiro, Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, who watched the video I shared in my posts, about Michael Wolff seeing Polaroids of Donald Trump with girls of an uncertain age sitting on his lap, topless. Join the John Brown Gub Club. They're out there. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Fael Hin L. Yes, I've seen them. I don't know. Like, yeah, I've seen, like, that's, you know, that's my family. I don't feel like I need to join a club, but I am in solidarity. My spirit, you know, is always with them. And it's amazing right now. My aunt, shout out to my aunt. I love you so much. Thank you for saving my life this week. Thank you for being you. And if you have a family member, call them today. Just call them today. Just connect. Even if you don't say any words. That's the most beautiful thing I have about this relationship. I don't have to say a word to her, and she understands everything. But she's starting to piece together more of our family history, which is a treasure. and she was sending me photos of, I forget what grandfather, who fought in the Civil War, and we still have his little shaving mirror. It's truly amazing family relics, and I'm so grateful and so humble to have someone like her in my family. Um, but the John Brown Gun Club, I think, is just an amazing thing. I'm glad more people understand who he is and what he fought for. But I'm a one-man John Brown Gun Club every single day. Uh, Troy, do you really think Kamala wouldn't release pics of Trump? That would all. Um, Troy, here's a good lesson for you. I don't think any of these politicians work for us, and I think they protect all of each other. Um, but yeah, I do believe what Michael Wolff said. Go watch the video. It's like, you don't got to take my word for it. It's in a book. Take a look. It's Michael Wolff. He's on Daily Beast podcast. It's in a book. Probably don't know how to read, and that's not my fault, but I'm pushing for better education. I want you educated so you're not scared of a guy in a dress or people reading to kids or gay penguins, because that's fucking hilarious that scares you. There's my intro to the new Reading Rainbow. Suck it, gobblers. Well, listen, Troy, here's the thing. Remember when Donald Trump was like, that birthday card doesn't exist? I've never doodled in my life. How'd that work out for him? You know what I mean? So you're telling me, oh, I trust the guy who's consistently lied and been proven wrong. I look at the guy, I listen to the guy who everybody's like, don't look at the sun during this eclipse, and fucking stared straight at it. Okay, listen, some people are going to live their life like that. I can't save you. This is one thing I came to realize young in my career of life, that, bitch, I can't save you. I can't. I can lead this horse to water. I can give you all the information about water that it's necessary to your survival. But if that bitch ain't want to drink, I can't make her drink. And that's all I can do for you. So, Troy, you keep going around with your head in the ground like an ostrich, going, I don't believe it. Kamala would have totally made him released all those photos. I don't believe it. Just like you didn't believe that Trump did the birthday card to Epstein, wrote that perverted poem drawing a girl of an uncertain age, and then all of a sudden, magically, that shit appeared. Just like Pam Bondi and Kash App Patel, fucking hilarious name, both couldn't say no. They didn't see those photos. But go ahead, Troy. You do you, buddy. And the funniest thing about Fart saying don't listen to misinformation is like, bro, then that would mean you don't listen to this regime. They pump out more misinformation per day. That's the game plan. They're like, flood the zone with poo on the wall. I believe that's like a loose quote from Steve Banyan Tree. And listen, you gobblers don't have to be here. I know why you're here. You want some truth and honesty, You want some. You want to plant the seed in that brain. You want to go, I know I have a brain. Can I use it? It's like the Wizard of Oz. You're like, if I only had a brain. I could see through all the bullshit. I could know that Kegseth, didn't mean a word he said if he's getting Botox on the weekends. He talks about gender affirming care, but then he goes and gets Botox. What is this? Oh my God, just do push-ups. I still think Pete Kegseth probably couldn't grow a beard, and he was teased about it. He was called Weird Beard, and then that Eminem battle happened. He's like, Weird Beard. No, the frat guys are, harassing me again. He's like, that's it. No beardos in the military. I can't deal with it anymore. Bro, did you just say trans Harris? Don't be a transphobe. Don't be a small little petty insecure boy. Trans Harris? Really? That's what you say? God damn, man. Some of these people are like totally 4chan Reddit brain scarred. File L. Thank you for the super chat. Release the Epstein files. Yeah, just release them. Listen to whoever's saying it. We could solve all this. Just release the files. Let us sift through the dirt. We'll go through for you. If none of this exists, like the birthday card, then just release the files. It's as simple as that. Thank you. Thank you. Just release it. And then we can go, oh, great. I don't think they're going to. And I don't give a shit if it's Larry Summers, Bill Clinton, or Epstein's best friend, Don. I don't give up. Hold them all accountable. They don't make our society better. I'm pervos. Hey, James, what was that? I can't hear you. Sorry. You're muted. I can't hear you. That was a cool comment, though. Spend all night writing that one. Thomas, I keep hope that the files will see the light of day. Hey, listen, 1 year ago today, we didn't know that there was a birthday card drawn by Donald Trump, and now we do. So keep holding on to hope, folks. And just remember, nobody lives forever. I'm just going to say that. Nobody lives forever. And once the main pervo's gone, the little rat pervos all abandon ship because they don't have daddy rat pervo to protect them. So I just want to give you some food for thought. Okay? Okay, everybody? Well, it sucks that Ubisoft... Oh, God, that was a hard burp. It sucks that Ubisoft, is being obedient in advance, especially because they're a French... they're based in France, I believe. So okay, Ubisoft, game developers, God bless you. I don't know how you do it, but it's incredible, really. I came from a Sonic and Mario Brothers day and age. Okay, not even Atari, but like Mario Brothers. So God bless you to the people making these games, because it's surreal. It's just surreal. Let's just take a moment to appreciate what video games have become. It's surreal. It's so cool. I remind my kids all the time. I'll put on that 24-bit soundtrack and be like, this is what we had to do, all right? God dang. But here's what I would do. I would do this. It would be part troll and part, lesson. A troll lesson. It would be a troll lesson. A trolling lesson. Ubisoft, you make the video game and you sell it in every country except America. And you put how back in the 90s, like Tipper Gore or someone, I forget. Nancy Reagan. I forget. It was Nancy Reagan. She fought to get the parental advisory explicit lyrics on her CDs. Republicans always trying to fucking, claim they're the freest in the land while censoring you at the same time. But those Republicans always wanted the censorship everywhere, right? That's their basic thing, censor women's bodies, censor what you can wear, censor who you can marry, censor your healthcare, censor your TV, censor your books, censor your video games. Well, I say Ubisoft, take a note from their book, and you release this game, you make this game, release the game all over the world, and then you put an explicit warning, may cause sensitive people in America who think the South will still rise. It may cause those maroons to get very upset if they play this game, not allowed in America. Because they do. They release different versions of games. Like there's different regions where different places in the world you can play a video game. So I just say you just don't make the United States region, I think that would be hilarious. And then be like, sorry, but your government is like this racist, fascist regime that's, got their panties in a bunch over any kind of thing that challenges what they consider the status quo. Dirty, you can read? That's a funny comment. I like that. Oh, wait. Tencent owns Ubisoft? Listen. Define fascist. Oh, I'm so tired of these people coming in here going, you don't know a fascist. Here. From the Holocaust Museum. There. Do you really, you probably can't read, but I'm just going to put it here because I'm just tired of these fucking people. They'll do anything but understand what fascism is and that it's happening here in America. I mean, here's the most simple way you can understand that Donald Trump is a fascist outside of, definitions. It's a really simple way. Donald said, I want to designate anti-fascists as my enemy. So if you're against fascism and you're Donald Trump's enemy, what he said, what would that make Donald Trump? I'll let you figure it out at home. I'm not going to give you the answer today, but if Donald, here's one of those questions that you probably want censored on your math exam. If Donald says anti-fascism is my enemy, is the enemy of me and my regime, what would that make Donald? Don't answer in the comments. Don't. These people are going to have to figure this. They're going to be writing down calculator, the meme with all the numbers. Interesting comments. Interesting. The best BS salesman, that's what makes Trump. Yep. He can sell poop to a toilet, man. I was talking to Tools in chat. Nick. I figured you were Nick. But again, nonetheless, interesting. And Nick, I echo what you're saying. When people go, why don't you go to Russia? It's like, bro, do you understand how much you'd love Russia? They censor everything for you. You can't talk against the regime. Like, you would love it. If all these gobblers would just go to a dictatorial country, we could have a land of the free. It's very ironic and hypocritical that these people in the same breath, they say, we want a land of the free, but you can't marry this, women can't do this with their bodies, you're not allowed to access to healthcare unless you're rich enough, we don't want you to have a good education, you should go into medical debt, you can't work one job and buy a home. Like, what the fuck is free? It's free for the wealthy people, but they pay for that. So wake the fuck up. Wake up. So, Nick, I get you. Solidarity, brother. I don't want to hear these people talk about freedom in the same breath they want to, regulate women's bodies. Fuck that. Then we regulate the men's bodies, all right? And none of you old pricks get them little blue pills, all right? Thank you, Crush. Thank you, Crush. All right, guys, I'm going to try to go live later. I just wanted to show you this because once we get the gamers involved in this, and here's Antifa, 1944. But yeah, all these people are like, fuck, man. It's just sad. And especially at a time right now where my aunt's going through our history, our family history, and I'm seeing, people that fought, not only my grandfather in World War II, but my great grandfather fought in World War I. Then I don't know how many grades fought in the Civil War. My cousin John Brown, all the way back to my family members who fought in the Revolutionary War. To hear some of these morons chirping like the gobblers they are, But this is what happens when you allow people in this country. Listen, there's certain freedoms that shouldn't happen. You shouldn't be allowed to fly a Confederate flag. Foreign enemy. Shouldn't be allowed to say the South will rise again. Foreign enemy. You know what I mean? Some of you, All right, guys. But for some of you, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Oh, and Crush, thank you. Hit the like button. I'm going to go live later. I'll be at the Compute. Everything's computer, as the president said. Everything is computer. Release the files, bro, if you're not in them. If those photos of you with uncertain age girls don't exist, release the files. Prove it. That's a simple thing. People who aren't guilty usually are like, here, fuck. Yo, here's the files. If they're not in them, they're like, just take it. Jesus. Stop protecting the wealthy, stop protecting these pervs, and release them. Release them. I hope to see you later, Mamba Jamba. J Money. Alma. Crush. Nick. Everybody else, if I forgot, my apologies. Oh, Fa'el Him. Hope to see you later. Hit subscribe and notification bell. Much love, much respect. Be kind to one another, and stop falling for this fascist propaganda, man. Stop.